What's up, everyone? We are back after a months-long hiatus, and I mean months. It's been like since what, July? I don't think we've been even maybe June. I don't think we've done a real talk with the updated setup.
Probably not. I was like, much to my dismay, I was very ready for the Wrestle Reel intro to start playing, and that was why I was still looking down at my phone when we started. So I apologize. But hey, everybody, how's it going?
It's going all right. It's going all right. We're here to talk about No Way Home and talk about
Right.
the spoilers, have a few conversations about it. But Nick and I aren't alone. With us, we have none other than the host of Saber Reels himself, Mr. Toby Barkwell, and the host of Real Sports, Colin. Sorry, I'm tired, man. I'm tired, bruh.
He is very.
What's going on, guys? How is
Hi.
everyone?
Hello there. How's it
Peter
going?
3. Hi, here.
We're very happy to have both of you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm here. I'm paying attention. Don't worry. No, we're excited. I will say, freshest to see this movie. I just saw it about 2 hours ago. Because I just haven't had any time. Other things have unfortunately taken priority before, but I have to say, loved it.
Nick gave it, as my dad called it, Nick gave it a cyber blowjob.
I don't think so. I literally just said that the spider guy was pretty great. He liked my tweet. I have no clue what that even means. A cyber blowjob. But yeah.
You were
Could just
sucking
be
on
a
the
father
movie.
trying to relate to his son. My dad's had a couple hit and misses. Take a mulligan.
I gave it a cyber blowjob. That's
There you
what I have to say.
Okay.
That's my rating out of 5 is one cyber blowjob.
How many cyber blowjobs? 5 out of 5 cyber blowjobs.
5 out of 5 cyber blowjobs.
That's a good score. You're probably the only person on planet Earth to give it 5 out of 5 cyber blowjobs.
Yeah, I would love to see that inputted into the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yes,
How
yes.
That would adjust
Someone
it.
needs to do that immediately.
I guess so.
Matt is gone.
Matt is audio only right now. This was such a good way to start off this stream. But no, we are here to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home. I do believe that at some point we'll probably be giving where it fits into our rankings for the series. But initial thoughts, what did you guys think of Spider-Man Far From Home?
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
No Way Home. I'm sorry. I just saw it 2 hours ago. I don't know what this movie is.
They didn't even have a title card. Right?
Yeah, they didn't.
I didn't see a title card.
It jumped right into it.
Yeah,
they just jumped right into the film.
Boom.
Yeah, it's very Infinity War-esque, where you have like
really
the voiceover in the background while the title card is running.
After like having just watched, like literally Spider-Man 2 for me ended 30 minutes before I got in the car to drive to the theater. So I really rolled the dice because I knew like, okay, either I've done this for no reason and I'm going to be extremely disappointed, or, you know, at the very least, I've watched Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina's performances, and that will help, you know, remind me. Because honestly, I hadn't seen those films. I realized it might have been a decade. It might have been since I watched them with my little brother when he first saw them for the first time, and he's 17. So, you know, it's just wild to think that they were able to pull it off. Then you walk into the theater and you're like, whoa, wait, there's no 5-minute credits at the beginning, and I was just all in, ready to go. The movie starts off the bat. I'm like, we live in a different world. I spent 2 minutes at the beginning of the movie being like, what would the opening credits look like for this? But they do good at the end. I like the ending credits for these John Watts films have been very entertaining. Usually they're
similar to
they're similar. They got great animation going with it. They reached over probably into the Spider-Verse office and were like, hey, can you guys, you know, make us a little. Come on. You guys got something for us? Come on. But I loved it. Besides the first 2 minutes of, you know, no intro. It was absolutely fantastic. I think it was the best theater experience I'd had since Endgame. And I've had a really hard time processing where it is because it's like I love oranges, but I also love mangoes. You know, it's like they're all fruits, so they're all MCU moments, but they're different and they're great in their own ways.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. And I think ultimately that's why I'm very interested in discussing where it fits in everyone's rankings when we get to that point. But I think
these Spider-Man rankings or MCU rankings?
Spider-Man rankings.
Okay, good, because that's what I did.
I was gonna say.
I did MCU rankings.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Well, don't worry. There's only 9 Spider-Man movies.
I mean, I think I could do that. I could do that pretty quickly, but like it took me like 35 minutes to do my MCU rankings, which I hadn't done in a long time. So I'm glad I did them. But no, I would say that it's fair. Well, like I think it's fair to talk about this movie in 2 halves. Like up until when Toby and Andrew show up, and then after Toby and Andrew show up, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And personally, I would say up until Toby and Andrew show up, another solid, great Spider-Man movie, specifically in the Homecoming trilogy, right? A little bit more of the same with Peter, Ned, and MJ. Obviously, Willem Dafoe being back, he was fantastic, but he doesn't really turn into Goblin until the second half of the movie, right?
Right.
The banter between all of the villains in Doctor Strange's little basement cave thing was really, really fun. But again, more of the same for me personally. But once Toby and Andrew show up, that's when it just becomes a whole other beast of a movie, right?
Completely.
And I mean, I think it's fair to say that we all assumed, we're pretty confident they were going to show up, but it was never about whether or not they would show up. It was about why they would show up, what their impact on the story would be, right? And for me, it could not have been more perfect. And I'm not even just saying that just because I just saw it.
No,
I think they did a really, really, really good job of incorporating them into the story and them actually having a purpose, right? Like Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man did not just show up for the final battle to help Tom Holland Spider-Man win in the end. Like, no, they saved him. Like he was about to go on a murderous rampage. And the moment with them, you know, on the roof of the school, having that conversation about all of the Uncle Ben moments and then his Aunt May moment, like that's my favorite scene in the whole movie, like by far, because you got such a great connection between all 3 of the Spider-Men that we grew up watching. And they had that emotional connection. This was not even them being Spider-Man. This was them all being Peter Parker in that moment. And everything after that was just like, I had a smile on my face. I cried so many times and I haven't stopped thinking about it since I watched it.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my most gripey part of the movie because it's literally pulled from Spider-Verse.
What's
it
that?
is literally pulled from Spider-Verse. That whole it was Uncle Ben for me. Like you go back and watch Spider-Verse,
right.
it's literally pulled almost exactly from Spider-Verse. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that's fair, but you have to remember, like we had up until this point, right?
I know. I'm just saying, like that's probably my biggest gripe with the movie.
Like when you're watching that scene, you're thinking about the Uncle Ben scene from 2002. You're thinking about the Uncle Ben scene from 2012. Like you have that in your mind because you were in the theater when you saw that for the first time. And now we're in 2021 and we are remembering, you know, the past of those 2 Peter Parkers. And that's why it works, is because we have that emotional impact with them because we grew up seeing that. In Spider-Verse, you don't get that. And that's why I think it's a little bit more impactful in that sense.
The way that I see it as well is they're all going to have that moment. Every single Peter in some way, shape, or form is going to have that moment. So, sure, it might feel like it's completely ripped from Spider-Verse, but if we watched it in the reverse order, it's going to feel the exact same way because every single Peter Parker is going to have something that set them off that needed to help them in some way, shape, or form. And for most of them, it's going to be that Uncle Ben moment. Obviously, Tom Holland's. And it's interesting because I always thought that they were going to at least allude to a Ben Parker existing within the MCU in this film. And kudos to them, they didn't. They made the Aunt May death mean even more because there was no Uncle Ben. This was his Uncle Ben dying moment. And like I said, you know, I was always one of those people who liked the idea that he was going to see Toby for the first time and be like, Uncle Ben. But it was interesting to me that they never introduced an Uncle Ben in the MCU, and I'm not entirely mad at it after what they've given.
Well, everything about Tom Holland's Peter Parker's origin story has been completely different than every other, you know, story that we've gotten in comics, movies, TV shows, right? And I love what people have been talking about, how the Homecoming trilogy and the events of Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame have all culminated to be a Spider-Man origin story, and then the end of No Way Home is him becoming Spider-Man for the first time, which he's always has been. but he always had Tony Stark to help him, the Avengers to help him, all this Stark tech to help him. Now, like, he's created his own suit. He is living by himself. No one knows who he is. Like, he is officially on the track to become Spider-Man. And that's what I can't stop thinking about is that last scene, because that's what I've been wanting. I've been wanting a grounded Spider-Man with Tom Holland for all of this time. And it looks like we're finally going to get it in these next 3 movies, assuming that happens. So that's why I've been so happy, is because they left the story off exactly where I wanted it to.
I kind of found a different way to like rationalize in my brain like why and how they've done this, but then in the future it's going to get a little complicated. Feel free to disagree. But did they not just kind of do like 3 movies of what sort of Miles Morales like in high school, and now we're going to transition to Peter like actually being Peter? Because Miles has never been in a world by himself. He's always had assistance, whether it been from Peter or some of the other heroes around him. And then have we ever yet seen adult Miles Morales? No, the character's only 10, 15 years old. Like, he hasn't really had a chance to become an adult, and that's kind of what I think these 3 movies were. They saw the right way to do it with the Miles Morales comics, because the last that we've had of Spider-Man has really been adult stuff. Even in the recent video game, he's in college at an internship, you know, kind of being an adult-ish person. But now with this stuff is him being a kid, building up this backstory. We are now presented with like where Tobey Maguire is at the end of Spider-Man 1, but we've had 3 movies of emotional backstory.
Realistically, we're not even where he was at the end of Spider-Man 1. We're at the halfway point.
We're like halfway. Yeah. Right. We're like halfway, but he's got an apartment, so we can sprinkle in a little bit of 2. I need my rent. And I need
you heard the word rent.
Everyone else was in the fucking movie.
Yeah, like literally, I saw an apartment door open. I'm like, "Are we?" And then I just hear this deep.
It could have been the daughter. It could have been the daughter. She
Right.
could have been running it, and she could have said, "I have some chocolate cake if you want some, even a glass of milk." Guys, it was right there. Everything else was in the movie. We like. Also, I really fast. I think the MVP of the movie, and we just gotta get out of the way, was Jamie Foxx's hairline. I think it was absolutely impeccable. I thought he looked phenomenal. Like, he was rocking the vibe. And bless her, if Marissa Tomei lasted another 10 minutes in the movie, she might have said, "Hey, what's up? I just got out of this thing with this guy. How are you doing?"
I mean, all jokes aside, that's probably my biggest gripe with the movie, is that this Electro in No Way Home is a completely different character than the one that was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Completely.
No.
Hear me out.
They told him to tone it down a bit. Like, he's still basically, they told him to get rid of the obsession with Spider-Man, but otherwise he was the same character.
No, hold on.
He has this new confidence because he feels this power in this new universe.
No, you joke about the hairline, but like, come on now. Like,
I'm not joking.
The Electro.
Great. You think I'm joking?
No.
You think I'm joking?
No, no. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, Electro is a dweeb, right? He's a loser. No one even knows who he is, right? And in this movie, he's Jamie Foxx, like, straight up.
That's what
completely different character.
But
it was the right decision. It's just that's inconsistent with
Electro. Max Dillon was a dweeb.
Correct.
Electro was not.
Jamie Foxx.
Electro was, I'm after this power. Like, Electro is, I'm after this power. That's still the character we got in this film.
I mean, it's a nitpick. Like, out of all of the characters that came back, everything was very, very consistent except for Electro. I think that's
because they here. And Winston and I was talking to Winston and Jay, and they pointed this. Winston was the one who pointed this out to me. If you pay attention, they subtly fix every issue people have had with this iteration of Spider-Man and past iteration of Spider-Man. In the Daily Bugle thing in the beginning, there's a picture of the New York Post, and it's like Iron Man Jr. with Spider-Man crying on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and every little thing fans complained about, they're like, here, we're addressing that right now. The whole man Electro was just this nobody who, and all that, they addressed it. That he was a more confident guy. I love the, y'all just gonna stand there and act like I'm not buck ass naked. But
No, it is a nitpick for me,
in the
but-
beginning, was he a little bit more Jamie Foxx? I could see that, but as the movie progressed, he was without just the powered up version of Max Dillon that I remember from Amazing Spider-Man 2, because I watched these movies so many times leading up to this, whether it be question writing or prepping for the actual film.
Bring me the head of Dane DeHaan. Why was he not in the film?
That is.
You already
I
have one goblin. You already have one goblin.
Yeah, but he knows that Peter is Spider-Man.
Okay, and so did Topher Grace's Venom.
That's why
Exactly.
That's why Tom Hardy was there.
Yeah, but the point I'm just making, like, you could have brought in Gwen Stacy, you could have brought in MJ. They just focused on
the movie was already pretty full enough of characters,
exactly.
right?
We also don't know that they didn't.
Like, it's assumed
They
they were
could
running
have,
around
been
somewhere.
there and just walking around.
Why did Tom Hardy's Venom get pulled in?
So I think it's
because
assumed that the
symbiote
same-
is a hive mind.
Nick didn't see Venom 2 to know. Oh no, he did see Venom 2. Why am I?
No, because the symbiote
is a hive mind. Because remember in the
if one
post-credit-
symbiote has the ability or
One at
the
a time.
memory, such as
Oh,
even
alright.
Topher Grace's symbiote, then all the symbiotes know.
Gotcha.
That's part of the reason why it was even more creepy that Venom like licks the screen at the end of Spider-Man or at the end of Venom 2. Like, that was a little much, but yeah, like he had it before. I don't know.
He looks
That's weird.
tasty. What are you talking about?
But you don't. The thing is, the hive mind going across multiverses.
That's the whole thing, though. But that's what makes the symbiote so powerful. Like, if that's the explanation, then we're screwed. Okay, so then here's an interesting tangent. Will Flash Thompson get the symbiote and become Agent Venom?
We'll get there soon enough. Don't worry.
I need that in my life. I love that actor.
We'll get there soon enough. We'll get there soon enough. But I know Toby started touching on it a little bit, but I want to dive deeper into it. It's Peter's journey, because like he brought up, this has essentially been this trilogy is an origin story, right? So with that in mind, and I bring this up because Toby, you literally just started bringing this up. I like when somebody put out that tweet, it made so much sense. It really did, because it's like, all right, and seeing how the character of this Peter Parker evolved. We kind of see the last little bits of it when he's messing up Strange's spell, but for the most part, he's gone from a kid who's just wide-eyed and wants to jump into this world to now a young man who knows what it takes to be a part of this world, and it's all about sacrifice, and you can't just have it all like you want to. And Tom Holland just really drove that point home with his acting in this film. I loved his performance. This is the film that cemented him as the best Spider-Man Peter Parker in my eyes.
I would actually disagree with
feel
you
like
there.
People think that Andrew Garfield's now the best after this movie.
Bingo!
No.
Ding dong!
After this movie, I don't want to ever hear this argument again. And I know it's going to continue to happen.
The answer is Andrew Garfield.
All three of them are perfect in their own way.
Yes.
And I know that's like the safe answer, but like, I just want to talk so much about like their entrance, right? Andrew and Toby's entrance into this movie could not have been more perfectly executed. They
to
could
the
have
tone
easily,
of what their Peter Parkers were in the original films.
right? Yeah, you let that scene breathe, right? Like they're in Grandma's apartment, like they're not out there fighting Goblin and Doc Ock and Electro and Sandman. No, like they all show up in Grandma's apartment and they have a conversation, and you get to see both of them, you know, just kind of like, why am I here? I don't understand, but they know that they have to go save our Peter, and I love that scene so much. So just again, I'll get off my high horse here, but all three of them, as Peter Parker, as Spider-Man, are perfect for all of the stories that they were a part of and in this last story. And all three of them had conclusions to their stories that we never thought we would ever see. And that I cannot believe that they did it this way. Like I'm so impressed with the team, with Kevin, with Amy. Like I just hats off to them that we got conclusions to the Spider-Man that we grew up with, and also catapulted a new story for Tom.
I will say this. the introduction for each was great, but the fact that it felt like these actors hadn't missed a beat. Like Toby was always like the more geeky and quirky. Andrew was the kind of too cool for school one, and then Tom is the perfect combination of the two characters, of those two iterations. Where I loved how he just walks up. He's like, "I just came from the portal. I hope you don't mind." And then it's not there anymore. And then you have Andrew Garfield. I'm Peter Parker. I'm a Spider-Man. Prove it. Crawl. No, this is enough.
Well, it's not even that. It's
You just
that
get the cobwebs for me though.
the first thing that didn't come out of Peter Parker's mouth or Andrew Garfield's mouth was, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah. They actually let the guy speak like a normal human being. Like that was my big gripe with his Peter Parker, because I thought his Spider-Man was like perfect. Was that he just mumbled every single word that he ever spoke, and he actually was able to speak like a normal human being in this.
That's what I
movie,
meant
and
by
that
too
made
cool
me
for school.
very happy. Well, I'm just saying, like,
No, my point is I agree with you.
yeah,
But
it's like
I always said Toby was my Peter and Andrew was my Spider-Man, and Tom did it
yep, and that's
both better than both of them.
hit the nail right on the head, my friend.
Um,
Because he's just so damn cool. When I saw Andrew Garfield in those movies, I was like, motherfucker, your body looks like an action figure. Like, I want to move your arms. Like, your legs look like they're like long toy legs. Your torso looks like, oh, it's got abs on it, and they were real, like they weren't fake.
I laugh because people are like, "Oh man, that's a mid-30s Spider-Man for
That's a late
Andrew." I'm like,
30s, bro. He's 38.
no, but for in timeline wise, it's not, because Andrew's also got a young face. Timeline wise, Amazing Spider-Man 2 still took place in 2014 when it was released.
Right.
So
He still looks good for 38.
yeah, so realistically,
After just
this
playing
isn't.
John Larson at age what, like 21 or 22? Good for you, dude.
Yeah. So realistically, you're looking at like a late 20s, early 30s Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
no.
And then
No, he was pulled directly from the moment with Electro.
no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He was not, because he talked about his Gwen died and he stopped pulling his punches and he became
There was
rage.
time
I
after
swear
that.
he said that.
No.
It's
No.
fair to assume Andrew is probably 22, 23, and Toby is late 30s.
No,
Which it makes me
no. I would say Andrew is like 31, 32.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
Toby's
at the
in
end of
his
Amazing
40s.
Spider-Man 2, he's graduating high school, so he's like 19.
No, that's the beginning of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then it seems like a full college year takes place because Gwen had been in school and got accepted into that program. So he's about 19, 20 years old
so
at the end
29,
of
30.
Yeah, that's why I said late 20s, early 30s for.
Still playing it good at 38. Good for you, Andrew.
Well, what I was going to say, it made me happy that Toby's Spider-Man is still wearing his Spider-Man suit under his clothes.
Yes.
That, like, in his timeline, he's still kicking ass as Spider-Man,
coolest
even though he's
youth
almost
pastor I've
40.
ever seen.
That made me so
Youth
happy.
pastor line got me, man.
Oh, that was so good.
Broke the Southern crowd. The Southern crowd died. They thought it was the funniest thing in the entire film. I thought that was interesting to see in our theater.
Oh, you do live in the South, and they love their youth pastors.
So many cool youth pastors that are all way too hot.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I mean, the whole scene of them in the lab just being nerdy Peter Parker was so good.
Yeah, and
First
people.
time we really
Kind of
saw
had our,
That's where we got the
We got the
moment.
meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what
'Cause a
was
lot of
really
people-
cool about seeing Andrew at least kind of separating himself from Toby as like a scientist,
Yeah.
because you really only saw Toby running in the class. You never really he didn't have to make his own webs because he made it himself.
Which I
And-
love that dynamic they
and
had
he-
about that.
Never really had to be a scientist, but to actually see Toby sitting there putting the drops in, kind of being a Peter for the first time, like an actual nerdy Peter instead of nerdy meaning he gets beat up by tough guys and can't get girls.
Because
'Cause he's really only nerdy for like 15 minutes of the movie, and then he gets bit.
well,
He gets bit
15
so early.
minutes throughout the entire series, because we do get the moments of him showing his smarts in college throughout the
Right.
series, especially in Spider-Man 2 after the existential crisis.
But
And
then just that scene of Tom with Willem Dafoe, and he's clearly crushing it. Like he is he's in the zone. He's killing it. He's making everything they need. He's basically doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, dang.
Can
But you're like 18. Holy shit.
Speaking of the Willem Dafoe, can we talk about when he was just getting the shit beat out of him?
And he
like,
smiles.
taking punches to the face and laugh. I was like, he's a great Goblin, and he'd be an even better Joker.
I mean, he did not miss a beat, man. After what, freaking close to 20 years, like, man, like just got right back into it, no problem.
And then did a lot of his own stunts.
Well, that was his one.
Yeah, he wanted to do his own stunts.
And I didn't know this, a little bit off topic, but they reused scenes from Spider-Man 3
and Spider-Man. Yeah.
Because I saw Thomas Hayden Church when he went back to becoming, not.
It's the scene where he gets wet. It's the scene where
yes,
it's the subway scene, and it's in reverse, and then it's the Rise Ifon scene after he gets turned back to, and he pulls Peter up, and he's sliding back up the Oscorp Tower, which. I was like, I hope other people catch this, because I hope I'm not on an island where I'm like, this is reused footage. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't know till after the fact, so I'm like, oh my god, de-aging it's perfect now. Like they figured it out. Well done, but no.
It like if you pay attention, the footage comparably looks a little off. Just you can kind of tell it's like
shot at a different fucking frame rate.
Yeah, exactly.
It was shot on different cameras, layered on top of some other bullshit, and I'm sitting there looking at it like, that's not right. But I also realized I'm probably the only person in the theater that's not right. So
I'm sitting here. I remember Colin. He watched Hawkeye. I was like, "Can we be?" And this was Tuesday. This was Wednesday. He's like, "Hey, let's watch Hawkeye." I'm like, he's like, "I want to talk about." I'm like, Colin, I'm gonna refrain from talking to you so I don't spoil anything for you. And he respected the hell out of him.
I told him I loved him, and honestly, it sent me into such a hype for Thursday. I watched Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Like, honestly, that's the reason why. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be sick. This is gonna be amazing. It was either watch Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 or segue all 3 seasons of Daredevil on 3 times speed.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
My brother was watching Daredevil, and I'm like, hey, why are you watching that? Because obviously I've seen the movie today, but that scene, unfortunately, was spoiled for me. And I don't understand, like, is this show legit unless we have the John Campea show logo put over it? So, like, that scene was spoiled for me by, he apparently owns the movie, and was able to share frames of it. So I'm like watching, and I'm like, oh, hey, why are you watching Daredevil? And he's like, oh, I mean, well, obviously.
Was it Nathan or Thomas?
Nathan. And that scene was fun. I mean, like, clearly they have him there literally just so they can set him up for future stuff.
The day right after you bring in Kingpin.
Right. I mean, he catches the brick, and then it's like, oh, how can you do that?
Once again, I'm gonna quote Winston Marshall. He had a great point. He's like, Daredevil has all the super hearing, all this other stuff. Since when does he have superhuman strength? Because that brick, especially because they were higher up in that apartment building. He's like, you're catching that. That's fucking up your metatarsals. Like, he's not superhuman. You're breaking your hand catching that.
Hey, who's to say he didn't?
It ain't the worst thing, Matt Murdock's. Actually, he's got pretty tough hands. He's a boxer.
True.
So are we assuming that the events of the Netflix shows are now canon or semi-canon, or are we that's just Charlie Cox is so perfect as the character?
All depending on shit that happens in Hawkeye. I think there's a lot of shit that could happen.
Not only that, but how their other appearances are going forward. Because Kevin Feige kind of hinted. It's like, yeah, you may see some people brought in, but there might be a reimagined version of what you're used to.
Right, like they would just say perfectly cast, like just bring them in. It doesn't really matter what they did before.
Realistically, and Jay Washington was talking to Winston about this. Mike Coulter will not be back as Luke Cage because Mike is a friend of Jay's, and Mike apparently does not want to stay in Marvel shape. He doesn't like the pressure to stay in that Marvel shape. It's hard to see Finn Jones coming back.
Also, they're phasing Iron Fist out of the comics completely. He does not have a main stand run right now. They're not picking up another main stand run. They are really trying to push Shang-Chi. And
Yes, because he's the culturally appropriate
he's
version.
the culturally appropriate one, which honestly could have been fixed because if memory serves, the drunk guy that Finn Jones fights in season 1 of Iron Fist is actually the guy who was the runner-up for the job, and he is of Asian descent and was a fucking awesome dude in 8 minutes of screen time in that episode. And then I found that out. I was like, well, damn, this show could have been cool. Why couldn't it have just been this guy?
But and I think
Well,
that
by DC standards, if they're phasing him out in the comics, it means they're going to be bringing him to live action,
no,
Yeah,
DC,
I'm just kidding.
but no, that kind of brings us to the what's next, especially with everything that's going on. And yeah, there's Daredevil, there's Happy, there's both Spider-Man, there's Venom, and there's
Happy is
She-Hulk.
so damn out of place in this photo.
No, he's not,
I just
because
think it's funny.
Okay, so you say She-Hulk, and
wait,
What?
are you,
It
are you
makes
and I
me
think of the
think-
same thing? Are
it
you and I
makes me think that she will be working somewhere at the beginning of the show that is not of like a good place. She's working at a law firm that's representing bad people, and she's going to go up against Matt Murdock and then have to realize the error of her ways
We
after
aren't on
she
this-
gets whatever
you,
happens
you and
to
I
her.
are not on the same wavelength. I thought you are.
I want her to face off against Matt Murdock, damn it. Just
It's
give
not
me
going to
it.
happen.
It's just one
It's not
episode.
going to
It's just
happen.
5
And you want to
minutes.
know why? It's not going to happen. And you want to know why? Matt Murdock told Happy, you're going to need a really good lawyer.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. Yeah, I hear.
And somebody's like, if you pay attention, you'll catch something that will lead into She-Hulk for it.
No, okay.
And
Good shit.
that's the only thing that realistically makes sense is she'll be defending Happy about that missing Stark tech that they bring up early on in the film. And
Which
don't
actually
mention-
causes the destruction
Yes.
of the tower if we want to get legal. Like
I-
the shield
we-
coming
we-
down was
we
a
don't
direct
know.
result of the equipment produced by your
But we don't
boss
know.
illegally
We don't
removed
know
from
if
Stark.
that's what the missing Stark tech is.
It's 100% what the missing Stark
It,
tech.
it probably is, but it's not explicitly said.
Legally in a court of law you cannot prove, and
Yeah.
so I would like to prove without reasonable doubt that beyond a reasonable doubt that Happy Hogan is directly responsible for that shield falling into.
Wait, what comes out first, She-Hulk or Armor Wars?
She-Hulk.
Okay, but Armor Wars is definitely going to tie into this
MCU.
too, right? I mean, the
Prob-
MCU, duh, but the events of this movie, the missing Stark tech going into the wrong hands.
See, and that's why I wasn't sure about the missing Stark tech being. That's Toby. I was more on the same wavelength of you for that than I was for Colin. on it,
Oh,
which-
okay. Then the Happy thing, but the movie heavily leans in on that because
Yeah, because Peter goes,
says,
"Oh, Happy."
"Oh, Happy!" Like, and Happy doesn't know. He probably has no idea that's even in there. He probably forgot.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Oh, I just saw a No Way Home trailer.
But no,
How? Oh, ooh. Over under. How many days before we see Toby and Andrew in commercials for the movie? I'm putting it at 9.5.
I was about to say give it a week and a half from the release date. So
9.5.
Yeah.
You got to take the over the under, Matt.
I'm not I'm taking right there with it. I'm taking the under because 9.5 is probably about where I would put it exactly.
All right. Well,
Um,
what about you, Nick?
I'd give it under. Yeah. I mean,
Under?
I would say
Toby?
over. I would say 2 weeks. 2 weeks
Hammer
from
the
release.
over. Toby's with hammer it.
No, I can't wait to get like an official like promo poster with all three of them so I can buy it and frame it and put it on my
I think
wall.
Boss Logic should just let Boss Logic do
Or
it.
just let him do it, yeah.
Just let him do it. Because he's been
Yeah.
doing it for 2 years already.
And Marvel clearly doesn't know how to make good posters for some reason. They all
no,
look
that's
the
that
same.
was that one. Those were on Sony because Sony does their marketing. So those were just
Not good. Not good.
I just love the Green Goblin PNG that shows up in every single post.
He's just a little
You know,
tiny guy.
slightly dissolved and shrunk in the background. They're like, you know what? We have this one. We have this
Yeah.
frame from the movie we probably could steal. It's probably in
Yeah.
4K, right?
I'm also curious how they're going to label the Funko Pops.
Peter 1, Peter 2.
That's
Peter
what I
3.
thought. Okay, that was my first thought.
Oh,
They
that's so
do it
good.
with either that
Or they'll
what
do
you
Spider-Man
said.
Raimi, Spider-Man Webb, or Spider-Man Maguire, Spider-Man Garfield.
I don't
No.
know about that.
I know. I'm just. I don't. That would be the only other way you could logically label them. Is my
It's
point.
so weird, right? Like that's
I just.
such a
I just want Marvel Legends to be like, hey, we're gonna drop because next year's the 20th anniversary of the first.
What if they
Spider-Man
did
film
like
also.
brackets 2002, brackets 2012?
They could.
I think it's literally just gonna say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Could just say
Yeah, I
Spider-Man.
agree. Because like
And
you're gonna
and
know.
then Toby's gonna be like an exclusive to fucking Target, and then Andrew's gonna be an exclusive somewhere
Hot
else, and they
Topic.
can all just say Spider-Man and be different variants. Boom.
Right.
Well,
But
so
no.
Colin,
Let's
you
talk.
asked
Let's
the
talk
question.
about that end credit. The first end credit scene because
Okay.
I was probably one of the few people in my theater like doing a happy dance because I hate the Tom Hardy Venom films with a passion. I know Connor and Taylor love them. You love them too.
Okay, I love them because I had no reason to believe that they were in any way going to come back into this MCU bullshit. I thought I was just able to watch some movies and enjoy myself, but now I got to go back and rethink it and they got to sort of tie it in. Or do I? Because I don't think
No,
I
you don't have to
do.
because they don't.
Because Tom Hardy's not going to be Venom in this universe. It's going to be somebody else.
We don't know that though.
I'm putting my money on that.
I
I'll go to
agree
Vegas,
with you. We don't know that. I would agree with you. I think realistically,
I think Andrew Garfield has a better chance of fighting Tom Hardy than Tom Holland does.
That's something I was about to get into. But I think realistically, Allison, how you doing?
Oh,
My new co-host on Spin from the Real.
Well, well, okay. Here's the thing, though. I will just point out when it comes to those movies. Oh, hello. Sorry, my dog wants me to play with them. Apparently, is that the Morbius trailer has very much incited.
That's what I was getting into after I finished.
These universes are clearly mixed. So, yeah, because
yeah, dude, they're very clearly mixed by the fact that Vulture is in the trailer, and
we don't.
Tobey Maguire's
Spider-Man is in it.
There is no confirmation that is actually Vulture.
Okay,
they haven't given a name.
Spider-Man is in the trailer on a poster behind him.
Come on.
Okay, and it's not even a poster; it's art. That's the thing.
But it's like official art from movie. Like
it's from the Spider-Man video.
I think we would be kidding ourselves if we said that we have any idea what the hell they're planning.
Exactly.
Because there's no way to guess right now. Like absolutely no way to guess.
You and Colin were starting to bring it up. Oscorp. Oscorp is in the trailer for Morbius.
Right.
The Amazing Spider-Man series, Oscorp.
I understand. That's
and
is that we don't.
And out of the two other Spider-Men that are not Tom Holland, I think you have more of a possibility of getting Garfield to do more films and get that way Sony gets their Spider-Man and then you get that Venom and
I don't know. I think people just are very prisoner of the moment right now, thinking like, "Oh my God, Garfield was so good. We're definitely going to get some more movies with him."
This
is
Amy
and Kevin Feige seem very, very set on keeping Tom Holland in the MCU and making movies with him. Like I have seen and I know they're trying to keep his cameo secret still, but
thank you, Allison. You got to my point before I could. But Garfield mentioned how dark of a place he went to his Spider-Man. Could that art be because of Garfield?
Just make those movies. I had an idea
because it said murderer
on them. When I came home was relating it directly to the season 11 comic run of Smallville. I didn't get season 11 of Smallville. I never got Clark Kent as Superman and saw it on screen for like an extended period of time. Instead, I had to read comics. Give me something like that for Andrew Garfield. It does not have to pick up right from when he phases back in. You could just show me the shit before of him being dark and how he got through it and how he figured it out, which is essentially Spider-Man 3. I get it. It was kind of his way of saying, I also went emo. But sure. But also, would you guys prefer to watch Andrew Garfield with Miles Morales or Miles Morales in the MCU?
Miles Morales in the MCU.
The former.
Miles Morales with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I would say Miles Morales with Andrew Garfield.
Here's what I say.
I'm on Andrew and Miles.
So with the rumored new trilogy it's perfectly set up for Miles to take over because Holland has gone on record saying he's like, I don't want to play Spider-Man into my 30s. I really don't. So what's the perfect way to offset that? Time jump this next film. You get a film just him as Spider-Man where Miles is introduced. Not a major part, but the character of Miles is officially introduced. A second film of just him as Spider-Man. Miles is bitten. Final film, it's Spider-Man. He's teaching Miles and he bites it at the end of it.
It's funny you say that, though, because I guarantee you that's exactly what we're getting in the sequel to the PS4 game. Like, the exact story with the symbiote coming in, Miles, taking over officially as Spider-Man. Peter Parker's probably going to die.
So I think,
yeah, I would hate to see that story, like, within 3 years of each other. That would be kind of annoying.
And I think I think it's not going to be within 3 years because I think the next Spider-Man film will be Tom getting the symbiote, and they're not going to rush it like they did in
I don't
Spider-Man
want that
3.
though. I don't want the symbiote for a while.
He's in that black suit for the majority of the film.
I don't know what just happened.
You're
Did I freeze?
That's frozen right now.
am I back?
Yeah,
Nope.
I can hear you.
Matt's frozen. No, as I was saying,
Talk without Matt being frozen.
I don't want to see the symbiote for a while. Like, we had plenty of it in, obviously, Raimi's movies. We're getting it in the sequel to the PS4 game, or the PS5 game now, I guess. I want to see Tom Holland as Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood, taking on Wilson Fisk. Like, give me that story in one movie. Maybe we see the symbiote in the sequel, but I don't want to just rush into more Venom, more symbiote. We've had so much of it within the last few years.
Totally. That's what I was getting at. You don't have to rush into it. You're better off full movie of him in black suit, gets rid of it, ditches it by the end, back to the red suit, finishes off. Symbiote attaches to either Eddie Brock or Flash Thompson, whichever they decide to do. And then that second movie, you get a proper Spider-Man versus Venom. And then that's it. And you finish. And I don't know what the third movie would be. But it's just ideally how it's.
They've got to go back to Scorpion at some point, though. You got to remember.
Well, Scorpion could be the villain in this next movie because, like I said, I'm not having Venom appear until the second film in that new trilogy.
Yeah, because we never got the payoff from the end credit scene of Homecoming with him in jail. Like,
it's got to be coming though, because MCU's very good at tying things up.
But the MCU is very busy right now. Like, it's so many movies, so many shows. Like, who knows when we're gonna see Peter Parker again? Like, maybe Wednesday, because they seem to be running very parallel. Hawkeye and this movie. It's Christmas time. But I also think that if Peter showed up, it would take away from what we've seen with Hawkeye, right?
Not if it's an end credit scene.
No, the end credit scene is going to be Matt Murdock or Stick. Matt Murdock or Stick
of Hawkeye. You think that
I will lose my mind if Echo walks up on Stick and is like, "Teach me the ways." It's on like fucking Donkey Kong.
I don't know. I just think
I love Echo. I'm so excited for Echo in that series. So like that show has done nothing but make me more excited for like just the balls of Disney to be like, hey, our main character like is deaf. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do? Like we're gonna watch a show where for the first time really on television. There was the show on ABC Family, I think, when we were growing up.
Switched at birth.
My
sister's watching it right now.
Yeah. And that's kind of really the only other big budget show that's going to try something like that. And you got to give some backing for people to come in. And obviously Kingpin is it, because in the comics, Kingpin kills her father, AKA probably gave the tip, spoilers for Hawkeye of last week, but gave the tip to probably, what's his name? Raz, her friend, Echo's right-hand man.
I think it was
Kazi.
I knew it had a Z. I was trying to figure out the consonants around it. But probably tipped him off to do this, and that leads right back to the comics. And it's just gonna be sick. There's There's so much cool shit. Like, how does Kevin Feige is the best job on planet Earth. Literally, best job in the world. Dude just gets to sit there, make shit up. But the biggest problem on his hands is how am I going to get these damn mutants into this MCU? I think that's the biggest problem on his plate right now. Everything else is easy peasy.
Multiverse of Madness.
Just speak it into existence, you cowards. Just do it.
Multiverse of Madness. That's where it's going to happen.
How does she know the word mutant? That's the other thing.
I would say mutants
Does she
have
meet a
already been living
Magneto from a
amongst us.
universe that had
up
all
to
the
this
mutants
point.
die?
Maybe she meets a Charles Xavier.
Would be more appropriate if it was her dad.
Yeah, no.
How excited are we for John Watts now to be directing this?
Oh, extremely.
Yeah, he shot up after this movie. Like he shot up.
I think that was part of their
sure.
idea with this film, because a lot of people, when they're like John Watts, are like, really? The guy who did the two John, why am I forgetting one of my favorite filmmakers of all time's name? Guy who did The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles.
John Hughes.
Thank you. The guy who basically made John Hughes superhero films. We're gonna give him the first family.
Yes.
Like no, I'm saying that was the reaction that people had when he was first announced. That's
what, and I understand that, because for me personally, and I'll give you guys my MCU rankings later, but like Homecoming and Far From Home, as much as I enjoyed them as Spider-Man movies, like they're pretty low on my list, right? Because there's not a whole lot to them. Like they are just very, coming of age, movies. And this movie is so much more than that. Like it shot up in my list. Like now that he's doing, Fantastic Four, I feel pretty good about it, even though we're still probably 3-ish years away from that. Probably closer to 4.
I'm probably with you on the 3. There are rumors that's casted, and we'll find out stuff in the next.
Rumor what's casted? What'd you say? Sorry.
There's rumors that Fantastic Four is casted.
Oh, I saw that. Did you see? So, homeboy from
Glenn Howerton,
from
Kristen Bell.
Always Philly, Kristen Bell. Yeah. I'm with that. I don't know who the fuck Johnny Storm is, but he looks like a badass bitch.
I'm not with the Glenn Howerton. He has the looks, but I don't really.
I don't believe that for a
he's
second.
So good at it, and you know what you can teach? Someone smart words. You know what you can't teach? Someone to be an asshole. And you know what that dude's been? An asshole on television for the last 20 years on It's Always Sunny. And Reed Richards is a fucking asshole. And that is something that, like, I love the actor that plays Chidi from The Good Place, who was my pick for Mr. Fantastic, but he's not an asshole. In no way, shape, or form does that dude have a mean bone in his body, and he couldn't grow it if he asked him to. Yes, William.
Yeah, I'm with William. 1,000%.
All of
1,000%.
So Charlie Day, is he the Thing?
Yeah, he's the Thing.
No, Danny DeVito's the Thing.
No, I would say Charlie Day is Storm, and Rob McElhenney is the Thing. And then Caitlin Olsen is Mr. Fantastic, and Glenn Howerton's Mr. Fantastic for sure.
And Danny DeVito is.
And Danny. Yes, exactly. There we go.
No, Danny.
But it's more like Professor Chaos.
Who's the mole guy that is the villain in? Isn't there like a little guy?
Yeah, Danny DeVito.
No, who's the villain to the Fantastic Four? I'm trying
The Mole Man.
Oh, I immediately think of Pip, but we got Pip in Eternals.
Yeah, we did.
Fantastic Four villain.
That was my one thing that rest his soul, the great sweaty himself, John Schnepp. Wish he could have seen this one on an opening.
Oh
Lost
man,
his
yeah.
fucking mind. But when he called, he was so convinced that when Peter Dinklage was cast in the MCU, he was like, "It's Pip! We're gonna get Pip!" And he was in Infinity War, but it wasn't Pip. It was
Right.
Giant. And I was like, damn! I almost got him. Almost called it. But damn,
They got to work on that CGI for Pip.
Yeah, that was rough.
It looked horrible.
especially because it's one of the few people that you're like taking a person and making them smaller. Like Patton Oswalt is not the shape of Pip.
No.
At all. And so like you can do mocap, but that lower body is still gonna have to buy that if that's gonna be someone who's coming in and actually being, because Pip is a very integral part of very large MCU stories, specifically Infinity War. Very critical role in all of that, and just make it look better.
Yeah, they really need to work on that CGI. Like, I'm excited to see, like, moving forward what they do with all the Eternals characters, especially my boy.
I just want to know more about Black Knight. Fuck everyone else. Give me more Black Knight.
Somebody at work today said they want a show.
The show probably would have worked better for that, but I'm glad we got the big screen experience for it.
No. But now you do a show.
Yeah, because
is Kit Harington a movie star? I don't know. I don't know if Kit Harington's a movie star. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't think it's a hot take. I don't know if
I don't think anyone knows, because the only movie I could think that he's had a starring role in is Pompeii.
Yeah, Pompeii. Right.
And that's going back nearly a decade.
And like just going back into the databanks of things that he's like said on Game of Thrones. I love watching the dude move and fight and act without speaking, but when the man talks, it does get a bit rough sometimes. And he does think a bit too much. And this movie, like, when he sounds like such a little baby boy, was, why didn't you save us? Why don't you do anything with Thanos? Why not? Like, he just sounds like, please, sir, may I have some more? Like, it just sounds like so helpless. But make him cool. He could be cool. Or just put him in Blade. Was that the thing? Because Blade was at the end of the movie. That was the talking to him in the room. So maybe just put him in Blade, which would be really random.
Maddie! My whole issue with putting him in Blade would be is it take away from that moment, especially when you're having Delroy Lindo and Mahershala Ali lead that film.
Yeah, maybe make him a first act story, like something that Blade has to figure out, or
bring him back in the post credit, setting up his show and Blade appearing in his show.
Yeah, more of a way that they set up like Bucky in Wakanda, where you just like slowly you didn't get it in any other story capacity until it was time, and you just went back to it, and then eventually. But they have to do something, because that dude's gonna lead the Avengers someday. Like, he will be the leader of the Avengers.
Black Knight?
Yes.
I think we're gonna start getting the subsection Avengers teams. He'll be the leader of one of the teams.
That dude's always been the leader of the Avengers, though.
No, he was
not break off.
West Coast, if I remember correctly.
No. I got the issues. I got the issues behind me. My boy,
he's got the receipts.
I got receipts. West Coast Avengers is Hawkeye. Let Hawkeye run West Coast Avengers. That would be great. Honestly, that would make my day.
He's right. He's right. The Avengers, the Defenders, Euro First, Excalibur, Heroes for Hire, Masters of Evil. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just don't do the Defenders again. Only do the Defenders if you get Doctor Strange in it, because those are my favorite Defenders comics, when they just have OP Doctor Strange behind him. All the street level heroes are messing up, and then Doctor Strange is like, wait, I can just fix this. Kind of.
Would you guys be interested in hearing my official MCU rankings?
Oh God.
Yes, and then I'm just going to say Black Knight is the MCU's Shazam. Okay.
All right. I will pause for a dramatic effect after each one. At number 27, I can't believe there's 27 of these movies.
Wait, there's 27?
Are you including the shows?
No, just the movies. Just the movies.
No, you got to throw the shows in there, Toby.
No, this took me long enough. I don't even know.
You don't have all night, Matt. Jeez.
All right. Number 27, Thor: The Dark World.
I think most people would agree with that.
Number 26, The Incredible Hulk.
Most people would agree with that.
Number 25, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I agree with that.
Number 24, Thor. Number 23, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 22, The Eternals. Number 21, Iron Man 3. Number 20, Ant-Man. Number 19, Captain Marvel. Number 18, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 17, The Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 16, Shang-Chi. Number 15,
Oh.
Black Widow. Number 14, Black Panther.
All right, Toby, just stop. Toby,
Number
stop.
13, Iron
Toby,
Man 2.
Toby, stop. Toby, stop.
Okay,
I don't need to hear this list.
what's the problem? I don't
when
understand.
you go the two of the best films in the last 5 years are in the bottom half of the MCU. That's
Which one? Shang-Chi and Black Widow?
Black Panther. And the fact that Black Widow's above Shang-Chi. What the fuck?
I really love Natasha. That's about all I can say. I love Natasha.
That wasn't her movie. That's why I hate the movie.
Let him enjoy what he enjoys.
Number 13.
Thank you.
Number 13, Iron Man 2. Number 12, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 11, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 10, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 9, Doctor Strange. Number 8, Thor Ragnarok. Number 7, The Avengers. Number 6, Iron Man. Number 5, Civil War. Number 4, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. And number 1, Avengers Infinity War.
And I can respect the
nothing controversial there.
I can respect the top one. That one and that second one needs to go more towards the middle of the pack.
What, Endgame?
Okay, that's your opinion, Matt.
I know. He gave his list so we can share our opinions. So I'm just sharing my opinion.
I'm not mad at opinions. I'm surprised how high No Way Home is. I've only seen it the one time, but I cannot get just specifically again before Toby and Andrew, solid Spider-Man movie, no complaints whatsoever. But once Toby and Andrew show up, it is a completely different beast, and I can't get it out of my head. I haven't stopped thinking about it. Everything about it in terms of execution, the acting, the story, the way it all wraps up, specifically the ending with Peter becoming Spider-Man I've been wanting to see. It is perfection, and I hate using that word. And I would put the second and third act of this movie against every movie in the MCU.
No, yeah, I'm with you.
I will say this: it is in my top 5 MCU.
Okay, so I'm not gonna cover I'm not doing the bottom because this movie's not in it. So I'm just gonna start at 15. Thor, Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, First Avenger, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ragnarok, Iron Man, Black Panther, Infinity War, Avengers, the first one, Civil War, Winter Soldier, No Way Home, Endgame. And here is my defense as to why Endgame has taken the 1 spot and No Way Home has taken the 2 spot. The peak of Endgame is a moment I never in a million years would have imagined happening. When Cap whips the hammer back, no one in the world imagined that was going to be the peak of an entire saga of movies. Like, that just wasn't in what you were thinking. You went into this movie with some idea that these 2 dudes could be in it. Now, what sets it at number 2, and I'm sitting here trying to not talk down about it, is how well they executed it. The execution is perfection. It is done to the utmost degree. It is hammered home. It is done well. And I'm sorry that the special thanks didn't say thanks a lot to the entire crew of Spider-Verse for letting us all realize that people wanted to watch something like this and would watch something like this and be able to accept something like this. Because if it wasn't for how well Spider-Verse did and how well it's been able to carry over into just the meta of society, like, that movie has now officially been something that, like, my mom's seen that movie and she's like, oh yeah, the animated Spider, I love him, he's great. Miles is so cute. He's got those cool shoes. And now they just completely went in and executed something that, like, no one. This is on the level of, like, if somebody pulled off Saga in live action, just something that's not supposed to be able to be done. You're not supposed to be able to take all these different characters from all these different things and make us believe that they're able to do this. why it's at 2. Number 2. I've seen it twice. It's at number 2.
I've
For
seen a
MC
lot of people put this in their top 3. Like after just
It's
one,
also
two.
my number 2 Spider-Man movie, though.
I was gonna say it's my number 2
Because
Spider-Man.
one does
movie.
not exist without the other, and I have to give credit to one for giving birth to 2.
No, that's fair. You don't get this movie without Spider-Verse.
Right.
Like,
I got
definitely agree with
Spider-Verse
that.
1, No Way Home 2, Spider-Man 2, 3, Spider-Man 4, Homecoming, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Far From Home, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So
See, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Amazing Spider-Man 2 has shot up on my list.
yep.
It's not a great movie, but again, Andrew's performance as Spider-Man in that movie
It's just
is,
in the
is so good.
So-
I see that. I watched that movie for Andrew Garfield and nothing else.
So here I'll give my Spider-Man list real quick. Number 1, Into the Spider-Verse, still
Thank you.
number 1. Number 2, No Way Home.
Let's go.
Number 3, Spider-Man 2.
Let's go.
Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
Number 5, Spider-Man. Number 6, Far From Home. And my bottom 3, I'm going to say the bottom 3 are in no particular order because they can change depending on the day.
Wasn't the
The other
assignment.
3 Spider-Man.
But this is as I'm feeling today. Spider-Man 3 is number 7. Amazing Spider-Man 2, number 8, and Amazing Spider-Man at number 9. Because the Amazing Spider-Man, while it is a better made film than the Amazing Spider-Man 2,
The Lizard is a
it's
terrible villain.
freaking bland and boring.
Peter, I'm
You said what?
turn New York City into lizards. Okay.
And then the
Okay.
entire plot line gets reused in Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Yeah, and Peter like freaking skateboarding to the freaking song, like that was like pulled straight out
Hey,
of like 2000. Like it was very
his
out of
near
place.
dance number he did in number 2 to the Phillips Felix song ain't any better.
Oh yeah, I don't know why Mark Webb was obsessed with the musical cues and like that's just very out of place. Like those were early 2000s things. Like why are you doing that in 2014? Like, it was very strange.
Mark Webb.
Anyway.
Don't touch Spider-Man.
No, Nick, what's yours?
So I guess I'll go from bottom to top because you went from top to bottom. I would say Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, because again, I find my enjoyment in it where I need to. Far From Home, and then Spider-Man, Spider-Verse. I love Spider-Verse. I just grew up with the other films a lot more. Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, and then Far From Home. I really liked it. I like Spider-Verse a lot. I just got into Spider-Verse way later than everybody else did, admittedly.
No, you didn't. It was like the opening weekend. I was
Oh,
with you.
dumbfounded.
No,
Yeah,
it's you.
we went later.
Weekend after. It was the weekend after opening weekend.
Yeah, I mean, everybody.
That's
was
not
really-
way
Damn,
later
those
than
7
everyone.
days must have been a bitch.
Right. Oh my god. It's like it was a month later. No.
Did you like run over a person like that week, and it was just like, damn, like I got a lot going on. And
I
it
liked
just
it.
didn't
Don't
stick
get me
with me.
wrong. They're
No,
very
it
close.
we're busting your balls. We're like, I was way late compared to everyone else. No, a lot of people
Like,
didn't
you
get
saw it a
hip
week
to
later.
that. Right. A lot of people
I-
didn't
Mom
get
saw
hip
that
to that.
shit like
fil-
earlier this year, and she's like,
I
that
feel
shit slaps.
incredibly late seeing this movie on Sunday. Is going to
That's because this is
So-
an endgame level film. I can understand.
I
that.
understand that, but at the same time, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse," and I'm like, "I love this film. I love Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. Are you kidding me? I want him to play live action as Spider-Man Noir." But it's just like I like the film a lot.
But you didn't grow up with it. You grew up watching Tobey Maguire's films probably on repeat, like all of us did. So
Dead
it's
ass.
easy.
I didn't grow
all
up
the
with it, and I'm
fucking
just
time.
like, hey. Like, can I say real quick? Side note: I hate the new Miles Morales costume in Across the Spider-Verse. Got part 1. I hate it.
Why?
What do you mean
It's
you
like
hate
the
it? Do you
it's the
hate
comic
art
suit.
direction?
It's
Are you talking about the one where he falls into Gwen's world? Because it looks the fucking same.
Yeah, it's
no, it's
an
actually
updated version of what we
it's
had.
pure black with red lines down the side and a different logo.
This is something for a thing that's not even going to be in the movie. I guarantee you what we just saw is not going to be in the movie.
That was That was trailer footage.
That was not even
for
a trailer. That should have been the post-credit scene of the first one, because it kind of was. It was a finishing off of the post-credit scene of the first movie.
But there's a time jump. That's what's confusing to me, is that there seems like there's a significant time
It
jump.
looks like a year
but
or
it's
two.
the
But we
same
also never
scene.
see anything more than his face at the end.
Yeah.
So it's justifiable. It's not like we didn't see him.
They
being
just updated the
a solid
animation a little bit
6'1"
more.
now.
Right.
Maybe.
Imagine like 6'3" Spider-Man. Whoa.
Yeah. No, it was
What
bland. It
happens
was
if
just
the
pure
actor
black
that
with
they
red
cast
lines
as
on
Miles Morales is like 5'10" when they cast him, and then he's like 6'6"? Like, well, sorry, bud, you just don't fit in the suit anymore.
Yeah, no,
But he listens to the exact same song in between that time.
Yeah, he just had that song on a repeat for 2 years.
He's
Or however
never
long
ever
the
gonna
jump
listen to
is.
another song.
here. I'll pull this up to real quick.
Wait, Tobey Maguire was in Cats and Dogs?
Yes, he was the voice of one
He
of
was
the.
Lou.
Yep,
Oh my god.
there. That's the suit I'm calling bland. It's literally that's the
Look,
suit I'm calling bland.
That's the fucking point, Matthew. It's a different art style. It's a muted art style. It's the fucking point. It's what you just put on the screen is literally from Gwen's World, which is a muted, softer art style. You cannot take your expectations from a 3D realized world into a 2D art style. That you just can't do that. That's not fair.
I'm comparing
That's
it to
different.
this.
That's a different world.
Yeah,
it's a
but here's what
different
I'll say.
world.
we have no confirmation that is for sure.
But what makes Spider-Verse great is that all of these different art styles are able to come into Miles's world, so you can't bitch and moan when he goes into theirs.
Oh,
And we know
wrong
he's
thing. I
gonna
meant
get
to remove
another
this.
He's gonna get another suit.
I hope
Like,
so.
that's because
That's
that's what
just like,
happens.
but what you're gonna see is him go to everyone else's world. It's gonna be like Kingdom Hearts, where Sora changes when he goes to Halloween Town, or when he goes to Pixar Town, or when he goes to Lion King and he turns into a lion. Like he's gonna go to Spider-Man Noir's world.
Everybody
He's gonna be completely black and white instead.
Did everybody change though when they came to?
Yeah, no, they did.
No, they
no,
didn't.
they
That's
didn't.
the-
But they adjusted.
They didn't.
No.
So
And
they're
also,
probably
Gwen
not
had a
changing
new suit.
But
Gwen's suit was new, too.
exactly. She had a new suit in
Hey,
her
guys.
world.
No, she was in
guys.
Miles' world with a new
The
suit.
only way that
Right,
you
so
still
she had a
play
new suit
over and
comparative
over
to
again
her
is you
world
change
because
the
she
suit
went
every
into
single
his world.
movie, which is what they're doing.
I'm
How to sell
just.
toys, so you change their suit.
I
You want to know what they
it's
did in
just
Spider-Man?
fucking
Far
ugly.
That's exactly right.
They added freaking Just for Men to Peter's suit in order to make it different.
They also
So-
brought back Just for Men for Doctor Strange to do his
Exactly.
weird.
Yeah, so they added Just for Men to Peter's suit in order to sell toys. Isn't that crazy? We were all like, "Oh my gosh, is Doctor Strange?
Jake, what's up, Jake?
Is Doctor Strange going to deliver him this brand new suit?"
No,
Oh
he
my
just
God.
turns it
Dude,
inside out.
No, they just added Just for Men to it. That was pretty much the only thing that they did.
Wait, no, he just turns it
Turns it
inside
inside
out.
out. I know, Nick.
Oh, well, she
Yeah,
picked
I'm
up
pretty
Just
sure
for
he
Men.
just turns it inside out.
It's his suit that has the green paint on it, and he's trying to
Yeah,
wash
and
it
he
off.
literally
He
just
turns it
flips
inside
that
out.
shit inside out as
He's
he's
like, "Oh,
washing
that'll
it.
work."
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought they just spreaded like black.
No,
on it.
that's so
No,
all
no,
that
no,
stuff is like wires.
That
and
was a
whatnot from the
Doctor Strange
inside.
joke.
Yeah,
That was a joke that Doctor Strange has to use just
still,
for Men to keep his goatee going.
they
I
flipped
would have been
around.
pretty great though to see Toby dyeing his suit with Just for Men. That would be great.
They flipped the
Either
suit
that or him
around
just
in
scribbling
order
a
to,
Sharpie.
That would have
on
taken
it.
like 15 boxes of Just for Men to get all of that
at
covered.
least. At least.
but
Reverse bleach.
yeah, I mean, I overall, I think we all really love this film based off of where we're putting it in our rankings. And I know Nick's. The last thing I want to talk about is that suit at the end. Like
Can we talk about our
So-
favorite
Mhm.
like fight moment though?
yeah, we can't. But I do want to talk something that brought a tear to my eye that Jen didn't understand when I took her on Thursday, and it brought a tear to my eye when I saw it on Tuesday. Was he got to finally have his swinging in the city moment?
Oh
Because
yeah.
even Garfield, sure, Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't end with him swinging around in the city, but Amazing Spider-Man 1 did. Toby still got to swing around the city in 1 and 2.
And he
be
got 3
fire.
fucking video games of us swinging around the city as him
Yeah.
too, so we can keep it.
But we got the ending where he gets to swing and then come towards the camera, and I was happy as hell.
Oh yeah,
And
it
it's
felt like
snowing
it
and
was
it's Christmas
straight up.
time. And in
Mhm.
Hawkeye, it's snowing and it's Christmas time. So
And that's
I'm just
suit.
saying,
That, I
That's
know,
Snoop,
I know,
baby. Plugged
I know
right out
some-
of
It was so sick.
1995, baby. Plug
I know
that
some
shit.
people have been like, that suit's
He was
too
like, "Am I
shiny.
watching
I'm
Fox
like,
for Kids
I
right
love it.
now?"
I loved that
Best live action.
that shiny blue suit.
Best live action suit I've ever seen.
I put it at 2. Amazing
I put it at
Spider-Man.
1. I saw
I
the
love
color
Amazing
scheme and
Spider-Man.
I said, I had toys that looked like that.
Yeah.
Get in the
I
car.
love Amazing Spider-Man. I had Matt buy that for me as the gift that he was supposed to give me 2 years ago. Just kidding. But I'm surprised he wasn't like, "You're not wearing your suit for this," and I'm like, "Well, no." Instead, I pulled out the Amazing Spider-Man shirt. But no, that surpassed for the 5 seconds that I saw it. It surpassed as my favorite Spider-Man.
Did you guys notice the suit by the time it had worn down at the end of the fight? His like iron suit, the way the light was shining on it, it looked like the PS4 video game suit.
Yeah, a lot of
There
people
were
say that.
moments where it lost its gold lacquer and it brought out this like silver shine when the sun was hitting it, and I was like, my brother's gonna think that's the suit. I guarantee it. My
So-
brother's gonna look at me when he watches this with me on Tuesday, and he's gonna go, "Is that the game suit?"
So
And I'm like,
Winston,
no, it's not the
Winston
game
pointed
suit.
this out to me when we were talking about it. When you're looking at the Stark Builder technology thing, you could see schematics for that PS4 suit in there.
Yo, he's like, look, I don't ever want that kid to get somebody else to make him something ever again. I want him to do it. I want him to
Same.
get a job at Horizon Labs, and let's go.
I mean, that's part of the character. Is he's his own hero. He builds his suits. He makes his gadgets. Right, like he's poor, so he has to get scraps out of the garbage. Like that's Peter Parker, and we
is
hadn't
that
seen
not
that
what
up to
makes
this
this
point.
build up and fall so much better? That he's had everything, that he's been handed everything in his life, or not handed everything in his life, but in his superhero life, he's kind of had it on easy street compared to most of the people. And now he knows what it's like to be at the peak. He knows what it's like to literally save the galaxy, the universe, the multiverse. And now no one knows who the fuck he is. Like, that's some deep shit that I don't think any other superhero will ever be able to relate to him with. He's now on his own island. He's like Batman.
He'll be taking pictures for
And
Alex Jones, Jonah Jameson.
Stop it.
It's
Stop
real.
it.
It's realistically
He
the
even
anti-Iron
sold,
Man.
He even sold the supplements. When he brought the supplements out, I died.
I'm like, what are they trying to do? Like, oh my lord.
It's funny you mentioned that though. Go ahead.
I love how like within like 2 scenes he's already in like this big studio and everything.
Yeah, he goes from one scene in his basement, and then like all of the Spider-Man traction kicked up so much that he was bought by Logan Roy and Waystar from Succession, and he was given a massive studio to produce, and it all happened so fast that you should buy stock in Daily Bugle.
Basically, this guy's got the scoop. Throw money at him.
What I was going to say, though, is part of Peter Parker's character and his story is taking pictures of Spider-Man for the Bugle. In 2021
It's gonna be
or
taking
2023, like, how is that going to translate to a modern audience? Because everyone and their mom has a camera in their pocket who can take pictures of Spider-Man, like really good pictures of Spider-Man if they really want to.
Best?
I mean, if you got a 13 Pro in your pocket, I would put that up against.
So look,
any-
Spider-Man should just be an influencer.
Oh God!
I've been watching Young Justice for damn near 7 years now, however long it's been on the air. And
Four seasons, 10 years.
Beast Boy is a fucking movie star and making money on the side while still being a superhero, living in a schwanky, nice apartment, living his life. Why can't Spider-Man cut that lucrative deal? It's like when Luke Cage is sitting there thinking, like, man, can I get sponsored by Nike? Like, everyone starts running up on Luke Cage on the streets and is like, let me try to give you some of this money. And
it's going to be
Spider-Man can do that, but he chooses not to.
I can see Spidey with the Manscaped deal.
Exactly. When it look, Matt, take me. Hold on. Hi. I'm Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man.
But
And
the
when I
point
go
is, we
web
don't want
slinging,
people to know his identity.
shh, okay, hi, I'm Spider-Man. And when I go flying around New York City, I can't have my suit getting caught on those little pointy hairs. Man, you know what I'm talking about. So I turn to Manscaped. And then it's like, oh my God, it's great. Oh, this is great stuff. And then he's making money. He's able to pay rent. He's got to pay that rent. And it's just got to be fun. They can make it fun. They can make it new, or they can keep making it dark. Because I don't know how the hell they're going to take this thing to Boston. Because I don't think does anybody think he's never going to talk to MJ or Ned in the next movie?
I think this next film's gonna have a time jump to it.
Do you think he talks to the? Okay. So
Like,
we don't get this movie for 5 years.
I'd say 2 to 3.
But it feels like 5 in the story.
No, 2 works because MJ could be coming home on, like, it could take place during summer, so she's home on break.
Oh, it's like in the Heights,
Yeah,
Well, he's getting his GED.
and he's Benny.
yeah,
his GED like study book is inside of it.
yeah. But a GED, like, that's just so he can get into New York University. We all
He'll
know
crush that GED. He can take that GED
He-
tomorrow. That dude
right.
will crush that.
We're just so I
You want
think
to know how I make this web so strong? Manscaped. The Peter jokes were just too great. So does it only come out there? Does it come out anywhere else?
That was
Yes.
very funny. Them
the
talking
weapon
about,
is-
I mean, the whole scene of them just talking about the villains they faced. I faced the alien with black goo, and Thomas Peter's like, I fought an alien in space, and he's like, and Andrew's
Thanks.
Spider-Man's like, I
and
haven't
here,
fought
and
any
it's
aliens.
purple. And
I'm
that's
still
another
stuck
reason
on
why
you fighting
I think
someone
he's going to
in
end up
space.
fighting Venom and Morbius, because what's a perfect way for Sony to do what they want to do? Bring back Garfield to fight Venom and Morbius.
Who knows what the multiverse is going to look like after February and Doctor Strange in the multiverse?
No, that got pushed back, I think, to May.
Oh, fuck me.
Is that the next movie?
That's the next
Oh,
movie,
come
yeah.
on. We made it through. We almost made it through an entire real talk without talking about a freaking movie getting pushed back.
So close.
Oh, jeez.
So close. We tried our
Multiverse
best.
of Madness is May
Well, that was
6th,
literally like
2022.
the theme of real talk was to talk about how movies were getting pushed back for a long time.
Yes.
Like,
I mean,
wanna-
we should talk about third biggest opening ever in the middle of a
Right.
pandemic.
253
53. There's still
million.
depending on how today goes officially, there's still a chance it finishes at second, because it's only like a $4 million difference.
That's crazy, man.
I helped. There we go. I can say.
Maddie Gunner, I'd love to see Garfield beat the shit out of Jared Leto.
I second that.
So international, it's a solid 60 mil behind Infinity War and opening
Yeah.
weekend.
Worldwide, it's made freaking already $500 million.
I can't believe Endgame made $1.2 billion opening weekend. But you know what one of the most beautiful things I've seen in the world is? Pulling up to the movie theater, and that parking lot was
It's
packed.
full.
It was full, folks. That shit was full. It was beautiful. The theater was packed. There were
Yes, please wear a mask.
adults
Please wear a
talking
mask.
more than the babies. Like, babies were quiet. Like, it was nuts.
How
I
well
wish I could
behaved
say
was your
that.
theater? I'm curious. Like
Hmm?
my theater was very well behaved. Like they clapped when they were supposed to. They cheered a little bit, but they weren't like out of control where you couldn't hear what anyone was saying on screen.
Okay, so I got 2 theater stories. I got today where we
Oh, the
had
first one was fucking wild. The first one was a wild group of animals, and we were all participants.
so-
Thursday night was like, you all knew what you walked in here for. You all walked in as the people who talk during Hawkeye.
So hold on. So today it was weird because like nobody was really laughing at the stuff I found funny or was laughing at my previous screenings. But there was also these 2 little shits in our row who I could hear just making stupid comments and had their iPhone set up so when they get a text it flashes. So all you see is a little flash on the wall, and all I want to do is walk over there, grab the phone, and smash it. But opening night, the first 15 minutes of the movie played. The first 5 were without sound.
Jeez.
So
I would have been
me being someone already who had seen it, I'm like, I turned to Jen, I'm like, this isn't supposed to be happening. She's like, what? I'm like, there's supposed to be spoken word right now, and it's dead quiet. And this is during like the Sony logo and all this. She's like, it's like, no, you must have. I'm like, I'm not imagining it. And then they show that. I'm like, see, it is mute. And so first 5 minutes, no sound. It's when he gets, it's the sound cuts right back in during the Peter. I'm like, oh my god,
what a time to bring
perfectly.
it back.
And then we get through another 10 minutes of the movie before they're like, all right, we're about to restart it, don't worry. So I'm like, the Matt Murdock reveal's already happened at this point. Like, I was just like, what's the point? Like, to hear him go, oh my god, with Ned, like, dude, like, I'm like,
I mean, that was funny.
I'm like, that's literally the only thing we've missed. So Maddie Gunner, I've never seen a movie opening night in the States until this one. You guys are way more rowdy. I loved it.
Well, I mean, being excited is cool, but like I saw videos on like TikTok and stuff of like crowds like going absolutely ballistic to where you can't even hear what they're saying on screen, and you're missing like important dialogue there.
Bro, but that crowd's coming back.
Like, I'm glad people getting
back.
excited, but like dialing it down to where you can still be in the moment of the scene is important.
That comes with the territory of living in places with shitty movie theater audio. We know, in those Thursday people that come in there and get rowdy, we all went back Friday morning and watched it in a quieter audience, and we heard what we missed.
That's true.
We're all gonna watch it again, and there wasn't nothing like when Toby came through that shit. He said, "Oh, yeah, I just came through your portal." It wasn't groundbreaking comedic shit. So when I came back through and listened to it again, I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah."
I will say, Andrew got a bigger pop in my screening than Toby did.
That was me too. I had a way bigger pop because he was. I mean, that was incredibly done. Like, and he got more time. I think John Watts probably felt like he had to do more to redeem Andrew Garfield than he had to do to redeem Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has come along a lot more in the last 10 years with people our age being like, no, that shit slaps. You guys can shut your mouth. Like, and it's just become fact. And now Toby's got a lot more respect, and Andrew had a bit more saving to do, hence him saving MJ at the end. And, Toby gets to say, I've, been trying harder.
So I think part of the reason Garfield got a louder pop, and this is just my opinion, is at that moment, that's when everybody knew, oh, snap, this is really about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's why it was less of a surprise when Toby comes out. But I will say, my Thursday screening, Toby got a bigger pop than Garfield.
Good job, Toby.
And when that portal opens and you see the silhouette, I looked at my brother. I'm like, that's not Tom Holland. Like, that's not Tom Holland.
No, you could tell from the lenses alone.
The eyes, yeah.
Andrew Garfield has that's part of why I love the costume so much. The most distinct large lenses. And like he turned his head and those things were bug eyes. Like, that's Garfield. That is.
And he was thin. And he was thin. He looked good.
He looked a little bit thicker in this movie than he did. But
no, right. But he's still thinner than Tobey Maguire. And he's still taller and lankier. No, he's taller and lankier. He looks more like Shaggy. He's got that. He's got the action.
I think Toby might be slimmer nowadays, but taller, I'll give you.
They both look good though.
Yes, they both look great.
Action
specifically Toby. Like Toby looks impressive for what?
A man who's about to be 50.
How old he is now? Yeah.
Those back still hurts.
That was a good scene. I liked that.
I was the only person who laughed about the back. Like I was sitting there today. He mentioned my back hurts, and I'm like, that's a callback.
He broke his back or whatever during fucking Seabiscuit. Like it's one of the funniest jokes of the movie if you know what he's talking about.
Right.
that hits.
No, I'm just like, damn, nobody else is laughing at this. That sucks because this is a great.
So funny.
I got the reference.
I know you got the reference, but I'm just like I let a loud audible laugh by myself.
We had a bunch of fucking kids in our screening and stuff like that. Like that's why other people ruin the movie experience. experience for me. I literally had a hoodie on. I was like trying to cover my ears so I could only hear what was on the screen because if anybody was gonna, it was like how I was when I went to go see Joker for the first time. I'm like, if any of you ruin this for me, I will.
Who in a theater for Joker would ruin it?
Well, no, like just are loud and annoying and
Oh.
obnoxious. Like you get what you fucking deserve. If that's
There's a difference though between like reacting to things that are on screen and being somebody in a theater that's like talking during the movie.
Oh no, the react.
That would be this would be Colin down here. Who knows? Maybe the crowd saw tick 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 boom, and that's why
Hell
they
yeah,
so loud.
Cages or wings, bitch. Which do you prefer?
My bad if you guys already talked about this, but shout out to Defoe for getting involved in the action sequences because they were gnarly. He beat the shit out of Tom Holland.
All right, let's talk about the power scale. I got a problem. That motherfucker was not punching Tobey Maguire through 2 floors of an apartment complex.
No, but he punched him through 2 brick walls in an abandoned building.
Yeah, but like that was felt like a lot more power than he had.
These were power bombs, because Jay
he was like punching that dude through the floors
he picked him up and tackled him. He picked
like
him
at least Tom did like the flip off the ceiling of of like the porch through the 2 floors of the porch, but Goblin is in the hallway and just like leaps up and kicks him through 2 to 3 floors of the apartment complex. Like that felt like a very strong power up. And it made it seem much more even than Toby was. I felt like Toby always had an advantage over Goblin physically in the original one, at least watching it back this week. And in this one, boy, Tom could have gotten his ass kicked if he had, like, stepped in the wrong place at the end of that fight. Because he was blind with rage, and Goblin could have got him quick, but didn't. What did you
real quick? Are we not going to acknowledge that they kind of gave Goblin a more accurate costume?
Oh, when he kills Aunt May, that's
just in general,
just ever had tattered.
The purple tattered.
It looked like the 90s animated show.
Yep,
looked just like it. Spider-Man, like it's perfect. He was perfect.
Well, you guys know that he's somewhat of a scientist.
7 people laughed.
I
cackled.
I was like,
yeah, I was just like the Leo meme. Like he said the thing. There was a lot of those. There was quite a few of those.
We got the pointing twice. We got it in the lab and we got it on the scaffolding. That was great. We got the meme again, and now we can replace the cartoon meme with the live action meme.
Like there was the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. He says that twice. Spider-Man come out to play. He says that. Like there were a lot of repeated lines in this movie.
It was really hard for them to show up to work when they just had to relive the first grade all over again. Like they just got to redo all their lines from their first grade play. They're like, "Oh, I remember these. Oh, you're giving me a script too? Wow, thank you." Like it really was not asking a lot of these people.
No,
is Willem,
which is what makes it great.
A top tier MCU villain.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think, because would I have ever thought that I was ever going to say that in the past 5 years or so? No, I did not. So
it's crazy to think.
A top tier Sony villain, a top tier MCU.
It's crazy to think we've gotten basically 3 Spider-Man films in a 4.5 year span.
Yeah. And I would count Civil War.
I was about to say, and then you count
and Infinity War.
I was going to say, when you count appearances, it's even more.
I wouldn't count Endgame as a Spider-Man movie, but I would count Infinity War as a Spider-Man movie.
Well, appearances, what's that? You had 3,
but,
6
right.
appearances.
That's the difference between appearances, right?
6 appearances in 6 years or in 5 years. That's
a lot. And it's not slowing down either. We're talking about a new trilogy, possibly Into the Spider-Verse 2, and potentially in its entire universe.
He has another MCU
video
crossover
games,
well, Spider-Man outside of Superman and Batman has always been the most prominent and what's the word I'm looking for? Popular comic book character.
Absolutely. But it's not slowing down. We're going to be getting a lot of Spidey, within the next
My tingle
6,
is
7
tingling.
years.
Yeah, you'll catch me on a PS5 when freaking Star Wars and Spidey come out in the same year. What's that? 2023.
Yeah, that's what what we're looking at.
Give me 2 more years and I'll finally pull the trigger on that PS5. What hit me after I watched it was that Goblin now changed Peter's life and will haunt him. And see, that's something.
And he doesn't even exist in his fucking universe. There's no Norman Osborn. He doesn't exist. He tried. You don't think Norman Osborn wouldn't have thought to fucking look up Norman Osborn? That's like Lex Luthor.
He did. He's like,
Lex Luthor pops up in an alternate universe. The first person he fucking calls is Lex Luthor. And he's like, you're the only dude that's going to be able to figure me out. Dude had no one. And when he's sitting there at the table with May at the shelter, he is truly lost and does not feel found until he realizes that these other villains are here and he can find a way to work off of them and find some way to, make a thing of it. But for him to not even exist in Peter's world is even more haunting because there's nothing he can ever do.
Can we talk about how my favorite directed scene was directed by Tom Holland? And that's when his Spidey sense kicks in and it's him just like he's basically holding the camera throughout walking around the apartment, trying to figure out what was going on. And then he's like, May, and then he webs Goblin. That was so good.
Am I right?
Well,
was that a Hitchcock zoom?
I think so. But real quick, Maddie actually hit on something because Goblin affected Peter's life, and I think that's part of the reason the symbiote is the next film, and it ties into that rage we see towards the end. Because let's be honest, that rage he has is still unresolved. He's still gonna have to work through that. And what's the perfect way to get him to work through that?
He has to work through it by himself, which is even worse, right? Like, what is Spider-Man right now more than anything else? Rageful. He lost his aunt. He has no one. He has no friends. He can't talk to anybody. Even if he goes and talks to any of the Avengers, like I'm so confused.
He has to talk with his mask.
Still kind of confused.
Mask on.
I feel like he could go to Doctor Strange, but the mature and adult thing to do is what Doctor Strange says before. The reason all this is happening is because you are leading a double life, and that's why I think he is not going to even talk to or see MJ or Ned in this next Spider-Man movie. I think they should remove them from it and let him breathe on his own and not have them there as this weight or this thing on him. I just want let the next one be Kraven. Don't even let it be symbiote. Let it be Kraven.
No. Mm-hmm. You can still have it be Kraven and have him be wearing the symbiote, because what I was getting at is
because he should keep the symbiote through the movie. He shouldn't
let it go.
and
then have it. That's what I said, and have it go away at the end. You don't rush into.
No, not at the end. Make it be the next movie, and then have the next movie be Venom.
See, because my thing is get rid of it at the end, and the post-credit scene is the symbiote attaching. Like I feel like he needs to work through the rage and then realize that the symbiote's not helping, and then drop it, and that's realistically the best place to end it within a single film. And then the post-credit would be the symbiote going on to Flash or the MCU Eddie, because
Agent Venom.
And I think, and this is just me going based off of Kevin Feige in the past, I think we'd get a proper Eddie Brock, because that's something a lot of people have complained about. Because let's be honest,
Eddie Brock is Eddie Brock. Tom Hardy's way too hot to be Eddie Brock.
Not only that,
Grace is way too weird to be Eddie Brock.
Not what I mean by that is the proper telling of his story, because he was part of the reason I love Venom as much as I do as a character is he's got this really great started at the top, hits rock bottom, and that's when Venom comes into his life, stays at rock bottom as a villain for a while, and then has a nice redemption arc as an anti-hero. Like, part of the reason I hate the Venom movies is because they're just like, no, we're just going to make him anti-hero from the get. And it's like, no, that's taking out my favorite part of this character.
I'm just curious how they introduce Eddie Brock into the MCU, because we know Peter meets him at the Bugle, but the Bugle right now is like a podcast TikTok thing.
I think it would have to be, if he ends up going to MIT, I think it would be like a school newspaper type thing.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, newspapers just don't exist anymore in our world.
The Crimson does. The online journal that's the Crimson is at Harvard. but like MIT, they do too. Like they still have a journal.
I was gonna say we all know Peter Sting in New York, so
and we have been watching
NYU.
movies with Betty Brant coming in and doing the fucking school news for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be a video reporter gig, things like there's ways you can modernize it. Yeah, what Toby's getting at with how the Daily Bugle is, and it's photog wouldn't make as much sense because
Eddie's an influencer.
Yeah, Eddie is. Yeah, I mean, Eddie's kind of like
Big ball. Eventually, he's gonna hit rock bottom, and then he becomes.
I mean, there are ways to do it, but we've been going for an hour and a half, and I didn't even think it'd go that long.
And we barely even talked about Aunt May.
We barely talked about the third act. Like when they all decide to like work together and go after one opponent, and they jump off the thing and they're swinging and the superhero landing. Yeah,
and then their webs, bro. When they shoot the webs
to see
at
them
each other's webs,
swing together,
and
the swinging together is what like just. And the different styles of each of their swings, because they all have a song. I was like,
when they all land, because they all have different timings. Because like Tom Holland is obviously the most like athletic out of the 3 of them, and he like comes swinging down. Then the other 2 come in,
and they all come in the positions they're known for.
Posing on top of the Statue of Liberty, crazy. So here is my prediction of how we will know when this movie takes place. Will there be a news story Wednesday while somebody is watching TV during Hawkeye of the construction on the Statue of Liberty being abrupted, or being disrupted? Because Yelena says in Wednesday's episode, I'd really like to see the new Statue of Liberty. It would seem like a good trip to me.
Yeah,
they're running parallel, and that has to be intentional. Like I'm not trying to put on my tinfoil hat here, but. That they did that for a reason. Like at the end of this movie, Spider-Man is swinging through New York City by the Chrysler Building. It's snowing, and we know that Hawkeye, the last episode, final battle takes place near the Chrysler Building, and during Christmas time. So I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it seems like this was very intentional. So
hey,
remains to be seen.
Arrow guy, are you okay? Are you good? Do you need any help? No, I'm good, Spider guy. It's Spider-Man, but okay, dude. See you later, man. Thwip flies away.
Worth it.
But that's too much. Tom Holland would never do TV.
No, if he did show up, like I said, it would take away from
Matt.
Hawkeye's
If
story.
he would be voicing the voice in Spider-Man freshman year.
There's a difference between doing a voice.
No, there's
and
not,
doing
Matt.
live
Disney
action.
dick
Yes,
is the
there
Disney
is.
dick. You're either on the Disney dick or you're off the Disney dick.
No.
It is not ifs, ands, or buts.
Wait, hold up. Matt, you mentioned this earlier. I thought that part of Tom's contract before this supposed new contract that they're talking about, he had this movie and then another MCU appearance.
Yeah,
is that
he does.
still true?
That is still true. He has another because even Sony.
Toby, are you about to say what classifies as an MCU appearance?
See,
what does that even mean?
Yeah, and that's the point. That's why it could still be Hawkeye is what I'm getting at because it doesn't say an MCU movie. It says MCU appearance.
I'm right here.
So maybe Multiverse of Madness, if it's not Hawkeye. Like, I don't even have a guess of when that would be, when we will see Tom's Peter again.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't want to see him for a long time. Because Tom Holland is not aging fast. I don't know what unicorn blood he is sucking, but like he looks 19 years old, and I know he's 24. 25, maybe? He's 25?
Give him another year. That white will start to crack, bro.
I don't know, bro. It's only happening around my eyes, and I'm 27. Somebody thought I was 38 the other day, so I don't know what to say about that.
Moisturizer is your friend.
I use that.
Then you got Toby over here 25. Who's like 22 and looking like he's
25.
I'm 24, Matthew. 24.
Oh, that's
well, you look like Peter Parker, damn it.
That's what I said. I got the Peter hair.
You could be Peter Parker in Spider-Man, whatever the Broadway musical was.
Turn off.
Please,
something
turn
dark.
I want Toby alive.
Or turn off the lights.
Turn off the lights. I think it was. Yeah.
Never again.
Never, ever, ever do that.
I still haven't listened to that. I wanted to listen to it. I still never have.
Are you guys? Hold up. Are you guys familiar with New Rock Stars, the YouTube channel?
Yes.
Have you guys watched the Easter egg breakdown yet?
No, because I wait for Nerdist first because I'm a Dan Casey slut.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I watched it yesterday, and it's like 40 minutes long of Easter eggs throughout this movie.
I can
And
imagine it's going
crazy.
to be.
So much shit that I did not even fathom to look out for. So I highly recommend checking that out if you haven't, because they do good work over there.
I know what I will say this. I know what I got to get Nick for his birthday or Christmas next year when it finally comes out. The new Spidey's cosplay.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's a lot of people dressed up for my
Wait,
screening.
everybody.
Yes.
Quite a few.
Sister's review of the film. What do you
Oh,
think?
Polar Nights.
As a barber, I love how this show is every
Okay,
stage of
my
beard
sister
growth.
has officially given the Spider-Man movie ever. So
You said what?
that means what?
You said what?
Oh, my sister has officially dubbed it best Spider-Man movie ever.
Wait, your sister saw this? I'm shocked.
Yeah,
That's why it made 200 and some odd fucking $1 million.
So, you know, her approval.
This is the most marketed movie of the pandemic. I'll give it that.
This and West Side Story right up there.
Oh,
I would think
Ooh.
I've seen
West
more
Side
Matrix
Story was
shit. The
barely-
West Side Story bumps have only been 15 seconds long because we
Well,
all.
I'm talking about
fucking
leading up to the
West Side
release
Story.
of West Side Story. It's out now.
Well, they don't want to give up anything that's going to be in that film because nobody's seen it before. But yeah, I saw the 2 shitty trailers that they released, and that was pretty much it. So
I haven't
What are the
watched it.
Avengers?
Are you
Are
in
you
a
in a
band?
band?
That back and forth was great. Like the Avengers, that's great.
That's
What is
great.
that?
What is that?
it's so confusing what exists within those universes, and I just want to know like who exists within that universe and like what superheroes exist within everything.
Well-
'Cause, like I think that like the Raimi movies were eventually going to allude to the fact that there was other superheroes within the
They
universe.
do. I was in watching Spider-Man 1, something that kind of, for some reason, made me a tad emotional was J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man 2 says Doctor Strange when they're brainstorming names for Doc Ock. And he
Already
says,
taken.
No, that's already taken.
Uh,
And now here we are, damn near 20 years later, and here is Doctor Strange being the co-lead of a movie with Spider-Man. Like it's just
And Sam Raimi is
realistically-
directing Multiverse of Madness. So
Realistically,
it's all
not
come
even-
full circle.
Not even a co-lead. It's just portrayed that way. He's probably got less than 10, 15 minutes of screen time in a 2
I mean,
hour.
he's gone, and then he comes back at the scaffolding shot before MJ even falls, and then he
Yeah.
shows up to say the line from the trailer that literally means nothing. Oh, I don't know if I can stop them.
You literally see every scene he's in throughout all the trailers.
Every scene he's in, except walking through the portal to MJ and Ned.
Yeah,
And
but I
any of the
consider that
stuff
still a
with
part
them-
of that overall scene. So that's
and
why
the
it's-
stuff where they're like planning the plan in the middle. You don't see any of the stuff of him walking up and being like, Peter, we're going to have to do. You see like that they all die fighting Spider-Man. You hear that. You don't see that because that's said in the room with all the villains.
there is a quick clip from that, if I remember correctly, in the second trailer.
But then you might not see the villains, and it's
Yeah.
just like in the
Yeah.
same aesthetic.
I
as
think that's
the-
what it is.
Yeah.
But either way, it's you see at least a second or two of every scene he's in. I
Hey,
said it
guys.
hit me today.
Before we leave, you know what's cooler than magic?
Math.
Math.
Oh man, sorry, I was thinking of card games as a geek right now.
Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Always Yu-Gi-Oh.
I love Doctor
Well,
Strange.
folks,
Kind of,
that'll do it. You'll find us here next week to be breaking down Matrix Resurrection.
Nah, I don't know if
After I
that's
take
gonna
the
happen.
red blue pill all at one time and see how it goes.
I will make a small little announcement here. There will be a wrestle reel this Christmas Eve.
That's been uploaded twice, by the way. If you want to,
no, it didn't get uploaded twice. It got deleted.
Blame
If
YouTube.
it got uploaded a second time, I'll fix it. But my special Wrestle Reel with a friend of the channel, Joe DiNardo, who was in town a few weeks ago, is going to be uploaded on Christmas Eve. It's been a minute since I've been able to get it done and edited down, but it is going to be uploaded for everybody's viewing this Friday, Christmas Eve. So if you're into wrestling, come and check it out.
And Saber Reels will return
after the holidays.
On
Well, no, I think we said we'll do
30th,
no,
bitch.
no,
December 30th.
I thought we said we were doing it on the 29th because nothing was on the 29th as far as we know.
Yeah, we will do a reaction review of the first episode of Book of Boba Fett.
I'll do that bitch at 4 a.m. right after I watch it.
I just don't know
The
what
Wrestle
time.
Reel is very pre-recorded, obviously.
Wait, what do I have December 29th? I have a game that night, so it would have to be like a morning review. But the earlier we do the review, the better.
I'll see what I can do. I have to work
I have
all day.
a
But I
game
might
at
get up
7, which
super
means I have to
early.
be there at
Show
5,
planning.
which would mean any review
Show
would have to be done
planning.
at 4:30.
On the show.
Show planning on the show.
That's what we do here.
Chris and I do that all the time. On Wrestle
That's
Reels.
yeah,
It's
but
really-
if you don't do it now, it
like-
never gets done.
we're
This-
having our show meetings.
There are no
This
closed
is a-
doors
Saber Reels,
here at
the
Who Are
Saber
This is a
Reels group
staple
chat
of Who Are
is
They?
organized as fuck. When we say we're going to do something, we actually do it. It just means we have to say it first. But when we say we're going to do something, we actually do it. So what that means is when you watch Book of Boba Fett, there's only one place you need to go first, and it's this channel, and it's this L of faces right here. So wait, this way, coming this way. Boom, bang.
I mean,
boom.
Nick, if you want to join, we were more than happy to have you.
Yes, Nick, you can
Nick
dress
talk
up in your
Star
Spider-Man
Wars,
suit
you'd
and
rather-
talk about Boba Fett.
Talking Boba
Oh,
Fett.
I don't know if you'll want me, but yeah, maybe. I mean, if I actually watch it, I'm a little.
Can
bit
I ask you a
Star
question?
Wars.
Are you excited for it?
Sure.
My sentiments
Sure.
exactly. Let's have a ride. Let's do
I
it.
mean, like, I'm quickly about to dip myself out of this after this statement, but I haven't watched The Mandalorians.
Oh.
Oh, well,
okay, very good.
Whatever. No judgment, man. Live your life.
Here,
I haven't
Matty
watched
Gunner
Schitt's Creek.
speaks to my soul. I wish we got a Toby and JK moment in this film. Yes.
I mean,
Oh, that was missing.
That's the only thing that
but
was
JK
missing.
doesn't know that Spider-Man.
You
It doesn't
don't know
matter,
that.
but it could have been Toby looking at it and be like, wait a minute.
That
Okay,
dude
yeah,
shows
fair.
up very quickly.
It would have been great if he looked at him and said, "Didn't you say that you trust your barber?" There you go.
Trust your barber.
He's like, "I trust my barber."
I trust my barber. You trust your wife? I trust my barber.
All right, guys. But with
And we'll
that,
be back for real sports because
Yes.
college football playoffs are coming up, and it's the first time that it's happened since its inception without Clemson. So I will be watching, and I'm excited to watch. And South Carolina got Spencer Rattler, the best quarterback in the transfer market. We have plenty of college football to talk about.
second
Ohio
best quarterback
State
in the
has big
transfer
moves.
market.
Excuse me.
Second best quarterback in the transfer
Excuse
market.
me.
Quinn Ewers was in the
Excuse
transfer
me?
market.
Excuse me.
Quinn Ewers.
Shh.
Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers. Left
Shut
my
your
Ohio
mouth.
State. He left my Ohio State.
Well, we will judge that. Okay.
Quinn
Cross
Ewers, like, number
handshake
one.
bet. Cross handshake bet. Whoever is drafted higher in the draft is the better quarterback this year. Boom. Okay. Boom. Money.
Well, Quinn's got 2 years.
Okay, so I'll still just take the number. I'll take the draft pick. Take the
And if
number.
they're both drafted number one, well,
Then my guy was drafted first, and I win by time.
That doesn't. That's not how that works. That's an age thing.
I love you guys. You guys are great.
okay. So yes, show.
But with that,
over.
show
thank you
is
guys
over,
for
ladies and
tuning in.
gentlemen.
Yes,
That
thank
is
you
the
all
end.
for tuned in for this weird and wild real talk, and its first time back in about 6 months. So, signing off on that, and we'll see you later. Be sure to check out all the reviews we got coming out right now. Nick's got to get me his licorice pizza review before he forgets.
Eh.
And because our rep is asking for it. And then Matrix review drops on Tuesday. So yeah, be sure to check that out. But until then, see you next time. See you Tuesday for Real Sports. Sounds like. And peace.
Peter 3.